11th November 2009. These are the nanobubbles on the Royal Society lecture on royalsociety.tv. They can make these little bubbles on silicon chips. They can etch the chips like they do in the semiconductor industry. They can make these bubbles in perfect order at thousands per second. Some of these bubbles can be as small as 130 picoliters, just nanometers in size, like 50 nanometers. And what I had in mind was that you could use these bubbles to create exothermic reactions, and that's perfect because you can't normally control exothermic reactions because of the heat and thermal runaway. The reaction gets out of control very quickly and is explosive and dangerous, but you could create bubbles of potassium permanganate inside a bubble of oxygen, run that in a solution of ethylene glycol. We make 7 billion kilograms of that per year. We harvest 30,000 tons of potassium permanganate. You want to use cheap reactants, and you can see that in the nanoscale you can run one solution into the other solution. There's lots of options for chemistry at the nanoscale. You can see you could inject potassium permanganate into a bubble of oxygen and run it into a solution of ethylene glycol until you then decide to pop that to create the reaction. I don't know how you'd pop the bubble. The surface edge would be quite high. Maybe you'd have some kind of like piezoelectric oscillator or some kind of little nano hammer that would pierce the bubble at the right place. Some kind of mechanical or laser. You can dilute bubbles. There's lots you can do. Now you got to think that on a chip you could have 1,000 bubbles per second. You could have thousands of reaction vessels. You could have millions of chips. 1,000 per second. That's 600 million per week. So you could have 600 million billion little nano reactions of highly exothermic reactants. You can do things like generate bubbles, you can fuse bubbles, you can sort bubbles, you can split bubbles, you can diffuse them. There's loads you can do with nanobubble technology. You can see the bubbles you create on the chip. It's just amazing. If you can find the right reactant. You couldn't use ammonia because ammonia production consumes like 1% of the world's energy needs. I'm not sure what exothermic reaction you'd use, but the joy of you get out of the reaction is higher than the energy needed to start the reaction. So you're almost getting, 1,600 million little miniature fusion reactions of highly volatile molecules that just love to interact with each other. And using nanobubbles, you could have like oxygen, potassium permanganate, oxygen, potassium permanganate, and an ethylene glycol solution, and then break all those at once, and you could get that chip to exactly 200 degrees Celsius. And you can imagine 1 billion of these chips boiling tons of water every minute to drive a steam turbine. And you'd hope that the products on the end of the assembly line, you could reprocess them or use them for something else. Because you, I don't know, avoid ammonia, but if you ran ammonia and nitric acid together, you could create an exothermic reaction and harvest ammonium nitrate, for example. There's so many reactions you could harness with this technology in the future. I believe that this could get the world off oil because you can prevent thermal runaway and harvest a hell of a lot of energy. Nanobubbles, they're beautiful. Yes, I'm mad. It's a bit ahead of its time. WorldSociety.tv, and this lecture, this section runs at 45 minutes in. It just ended there, and it's the chemistry and biology on a small scale. It's the most recent lecture. A must watch.